I asked my friend Jay Walker if he would give my boys a tour of his personal library. He said yes, and I brought my GoPro video rig along. What follows is what happened.
So we're going to pretend the room is dark, okay? Ready? So come on in and watch. We'll just pretend and we'll wake up the room in the dark. Let's see if it works.
Look at the walls. Look up.
So the library wakes up to music because in each of the glass panels is an invention, like a puzzle.
Jay decided that he was going to collect things that demonstrated human imagination. It's about imagination. The whole thing is about the way people think, thought.
This is a syringe that was invented by a friend of mine that you can only use once. So once you use it, you can't use it again. Now, why would you invent a syringe that could only be used once? There must be some kind of problem, right? Turns out that many places in the world use syringes, the same one, many, many, many times because they don't want to buy another one or they don't have enough money to buy another one. What happens if I put a syringe in a sick person and then I refill it up and I put it in a well person?
It'll make the other person sick.
Right. So you don't want to use syringes over and over again. And yet in a large part of the world, a single syringe could be used 50 different times.
Wow.
Right. Syringes kill millions of people.
A friend of yours invented?
Yeah, invented this in the UK.
You guys ever play the game of Monopoly?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. So here's the first Monopoly ball. Right here. That's the very first one. All made by hand by the guy who essentially invented the game, Charles Darrow. He typed up the rules, typed up the cards, the community chest and chance cards, typed up the deeds, bought some play money.
He invented this.
He actually stole it, but it's pretty close. Okay. Did you remember when the plane was forced to land in the Hudson River? Do you remember that?
No.
So not long ago, a couple of years ago, a plane took off from LaGuardia, where you were, and the engine got sucked in a bunch of birds, and so it stopped the engine. And the plane only had one engine, and the other engine also had some birds, and it suddenly came out. And what was happening, that plane was over New York City, and both engines stopped. So they said, ruh-roh. Okay? So they turned the plane around while it was sinking, and he landed the plane right in the Hudson River by the George Washington Bridge. And all the people on the plane
water
survived. Everybody, they landed on the water as if it were a runway. They were lucky that day. See, the water was pretty smooth. And they landed the plane on the water. And then ferry boats came from New Jersey and New York to pick up the passengers before the plane sank, okay, in the river. Now, why do I have it here? Here's why I have it here. One of my friends was on the plane.
Eek.
Whoa.
How do you like that? And he tells the story of what it was like to be on a plane that you thought you were going to crash and die. He lived, of course. And everybody who was on the plane lost all their luggage, right? Because where's the luggage? It's in the bottom.
First rule of
It's in the bottom of the plane.
If you have to evacuate, don't grab your stuff.
You don't
That's
take your
the first
luggage,
rule
right?
they tell
You
you,
basically
yeah.
just say, get out of the plane. You don't need your luggage, right? You're not thinking about your luggage anyway. So the luggage is at the bottom of the Hudson River. So what does the airline do? Well, they send a check to each person for $10,000, saying, we're really sorry we crashed the plane. Here's $10,000 for your luggage. Now, most people are so happy to have lived through the plane crash, they really don't care. And my friend Rick decided he wasn't going to cash the check. He said, forget it. I've already been lucky. I'm not cashing this check. So he kept the check. So this is the check you get if you survive a plane crash in the Hudson River and walk away and live to tell about
It's
it.
really not worth it.
So this place is a good place to see the whole library, all right? Because you can see the staircases, right? And you can see that it's much more than books, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's right. It's more than books. It's got model ships and it's got dinosaur stuff.
It's got huge rocket ships.
Why would I have more than books?
Isn't it to collect stuff?
Yeah, I like to collect stuff. Yeah, that's it. And if you're going to tell a story about human imagination, can you do it with just books?
No.
Nah, you need more than books, right? This sword is a modern copy of this sword, which is 1,000 years old.
Whoa.
Can you see it? I'll take it down so you can see it.
The sword.
All right, here we go. So you can touch it if you like. Okay, that's a sword from 1,000 years ago. Wow. So this guy makes up a book. He pretends that he landed on an alien world that had really intelligent people, and then he pretends he found an encyclopedia on that world. And the encyclopedia has writing he can't understand. And every page, he makes up this totally fake encyclopedia, right?
Including the words.
Including all these fake words that don't translate. And he shows warriors and people and houses and eyeballs. He makes this whole book up. There's nothing real in this whole book. And he made this book, and they printed 1,000 copies, and that was it. Never sold. Nobody wanted to buy this silly book except me and a few other people. But we were very happy. Look here. He puts like a faucet in a potato. Pretty good, this guy, huh?
Jelly beans and a banana.
Exactly. Who does that? I mean, seriously.
Some awesome guy.
Some awesome guy. That was my thought, too. This guy is awesome. Take a look at this book cover. Do you see the 3 dimensions of it? Do you see the? Do you see how it makes a?
Yeah.
All right. Well, here's the surprise. If you're very careful and don't use your nail, you can touch it. The book is flat.
Oh.
There is no 3 dimensions. Looks like a ditch here, doesn't it? But there's no ditch. Your brain isn't so hard to fool, is it?
Yep,
Jay,
good.
Yes.
I know this is some kind of money, but where is it from?
That's from World War II. That's money that the Nazis printed up in World War II and put in areas where the Jews were to try to convince the world that they were treating the Jews well. So this is fake money that they put into the ghettos. And so whenever visitors came, they showed them this money and said, oh no, the Jews have their own money. But they were just lying so they could kill them all. But they didn't want the rest of the world to know. This all is one Bible.
Wow.
They printed it really big, type, and then they put hundreds and hundreds of drawings in the Bible so that every page, there's a page, right, from Genesis, and then they would put in all kinds of drawings in the book.
Whoa.
Here they are building Noah's Ark, here, see? Okay. Here, the building Noah's Ark. So this is the part of the book where the Bible where they're talking about building Noah's Ark. And so they put in all these illustrations here. They're making the wood for Noah's Ark. Here's the plans for Noah's Ark. Here's more plans for Noah's Ark. Here's Noah's Ark on the hill. They're working on it. Here's more plans for Noah's Ark. They show everything. Here they are making Noah's Ark. More work on making Noah's Ark. More work. This is why the Bible's so big, right?
It's so
okay.
good.
And then only like 20 pages later would be the next page of the Bible. This is a fossil. You guys know what a fossil is, right?
Yes.
But this is a fossil of one fish eating another fish. Oh my God. So it's very rare. So what happened is the moment one fish gobbled another, something happened and killed both the fish. Probably some mud slid on top of them at exactly that moment and froze them in exactly that position. And maybe 35 million years ago, this happened. So this is a star atlas, and the most beautiful of all the star atlases. And it was produced in 1800, and each of the pages are hand-painted. And these are the constellations that they imagined were in the sky. They imagined that there was a dog and that Gemini twins were in the sky, because Orion. They imagined that the stars formed patterns in the sky. Do the stars really form patterns in the sky?
And if you look at it,
They form patterns in our brain, but not really in the sky.
This is
Okay, and so each star is in the right position. There are 12,000 stars in this atlas, and each one is exactly in the right position. And you can see it's all painted with gold. So
Did it have a purpose? So was it?
Oh, it was a real star atlas. Yeah, no, it was an accurately plotted star atlas. This was right at the beginning of the world of science. So they decided that there were other things in the sky. So look here, they put a printing tray in the sky. Okay? They said, oh, there must be a printing tray in the sky too. So they figured everything's in the sky. Look here, they put different machines in the sky.
sculpturing tables in the sky. They said, why should we just put different things? So,
What is that animal?
Cetus.
Cetus.
Yeah, some other animal they've decided is up in the sky. Monsters of the ocean.
Do you think a sea captain
Look, electrical
knew?
machines.
Did a sea
chemical
captain know
machines?
any of this stuff?
No, they were probably just having a good time saying, hey, everything's in the sky. But they were serious about it in 1800.
That's a dinosaur.
So this
bone.
is a dinosaur, and that's just his leg. You can see it pretty close here. So they find the bones in the rock, they take the extra rock away, and what's left they assemble into what the animal used to look like tens of millions of years ago.
So what's the biggest animal that's ever lived? Any idea what the biggest animal that has ever lived on the earth is?
One.
Brontosaurus, you think? Here's the surprise. It's the blue whale, and it's alive today. It's the bigger than any dinosaur.
What do you think that might be?
A code decoder.
That's what it is. Good guess. It's a coding decoder device. It's designed to send coded transmissions and decode them. It's a mechanical one, which means it doesn't use any electronics at all, just uses wheels. And it's the last one made. It's made in around 1962. After that point, they no longer use mechanical wheels. They go to electronics. So here you can
right.
see sort of one of the earliest radios in the world. That's one of the very first radio. It turns out radio was a big deal when it was invented, and that's one of the earliest radios. This is one of the very earliest phonographs in the world, where the records are cylinders. They're round, and they go like this, and this would be the record.
That's like a CD.
All right, yeah, like a CD. Music is on here, only it's physical, not digital. All right. This would be an early motion picture projector on that side, a movie projector. This would be a model of Edison's, a model as a copy of Edison's first light bulb. That's what it looked like. Just that little thing. And Edison didn't invent the light bulb, okay? Even though people think he did. He didn't invent the light bulb. What Edison invented was the filament, the little piece of wire that goes in the center, that lets the bulb last about 20 hours. Before Edison, light bulbs only lasted 10 minutes or so because they burned out, like a bulb that burns out now. Edison invented the first filament that would last a long enough time that it was worth buying a light bulb. So this is Muhammad Ali's boxing glove, the world heavyweight champion, and this was his personal boxing glove. And this was a flag that was carried to the moon and back on Apollo 11, the first trip to the moon. The astronauts each carried little flags with them in their pockets. And when they came back, they gave the flags to their teachers and friends. See, a dollar wasn't always a dollar.
Wow.
So in 1776, when they printed up money, right at the beginning of the country, when they needed less than a dollar, they printed up a fraction of a dollar. So how much of a dollar is this? 2/3 of a dollar. What's with that? Okay.
Now they have coins.
Exactly. And they put a logo on their money. And can you read what the logo says?
Mind your business.
Exactly. Mind your business. Mind your own business means don't bother me. America was basically saying, leave us alone.
It's like a giant piece of metal.
Exactly is what it is. It's a giant piece of metal. Iron on our planet, we are mostly iron. The whole center of the planet is liquid iron.
Wow.
So iron, which is a very heavy metal, is the largest element on planet Earth. We just don't happen to see much of it because it's all in the middle. These are made from rock crystal. These aren't even made from glass. They're made from crystals. Rock crystal.
And I see that they don't have, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's the black diamond. It's the most rare and expensive diamond in the world.
Well, actually, the most rare diamonds in the world would be the diamonds in the crown jewels. Those would be the most valuable diamonds in the world. And these are the Queen's jewels now.
Jewels
Right, and they're in the Tower of England, and you can see them. The most famous diamond in the world is probably the Hope Diamond.
Oh, that's what I meant.
The Hope Diamond is a blue diamond, and it's in the Smithsonian in Washington, and that's it right there. And it's in a brooch, so it's in a pin that's surrounded by white diamonds. But if you were to just take the Hope Diamond out, that's exactly how it would look. So these are really special rocks. I mean, we're talking really special, all right? In the whole world, there only are about 50 to 60 of these rocks known.
Now, that makes it 1,000,000 times rarer than diamonds. What are these rocks? These rocks are little pieces of Mars, the planet.
Wow.
Okay?
That's more valuable than a diamond. You asked me.
Much more valuable than a diamond. And you can hold them.
Pieces of Mars.
How do they find pieces of Mars? Well, first thing that has to happen is an asteroid has to hit Mars. Then the next thing that has to happen is rocks from the Martian surface have to be thrown into space because the asteroid hits it so hard. Then the rock in the atmosphere has to escape Mars's gravity, travel through space, and then it has to somehow randomly hit the Earth. But not just the Earth. It has to come through our atmosphere, not burn up. Most rocks burn up when they come through the atmosphere, right? Because they're moving too fast and they burn up from the friction. And then it has to land in Antarctica on the snow. And then people have to be walking around Antarctica and see a rock and go, well, there's no rocks on the snow, so it must have come from space. They got to pick it up, then they got to take it back to a laboratory, and they got to put it under a special kind of machine called a spectroscope. And they've got to basically figure out the chemical signature of the rock. And they go, oh, this chemical signature is not on Earth. This is Mars. This is the same signature of the rocks that we can figure out through light are on Mars. And that's how this rock came. And then they got to decide to sell it.
Yeah.
Okay? And then they got to find somebody willing to buy it. Okay? And then it's got to get here. So, there you go.
That's
You
really
now
good,
have
Jay.
Mars rocks.
You won't believe this. Henry, take a look at this.
So this is the world's biggest and stupidest Swiss Army knife.
Oh.
Yeah.
Henry loves Swiss Army knives.
Now-
Oh, God.
Now, what's
Look at
cool
that.
about this Swiss Army knife is it has every knife that they make in one knife. Now,
Holy moly.
it sells for over $1,000.
But you see why.
But can anybody use this knife?
No.
Did you use this?
Yes, somehow.
No. It shows that it,
Maybe?
it tells an interesting story. You see, if you make a knife that has everything in it, it really has nothing. If something can do everything, it generally can't do much of anything.
Right.
And so because this knife has so many different tools, it's really useless. But why would they make it if it's useless?
For fun?
Because people like me
Like
would
to-
buy it.
yeah.
There are collectors who buy these knives. I don't happen to be a collector, but wackos, okay, like me, buy these knives, even though we can't use them because they want to have a complete collection of all the knives. So these people, the Wagner people, made a knife that was totally useless that they could sell for $1,000, more than $1,000, and then they sold, like 200-300 of them to crazies like me who have to have them.
And him.
Wow.
Would you buy that?
Henry would be one of the
Yeah,
crazies.
Henry
You
would
could join the
definitely-
crazy club.
Would you guys like to have a library? David, would you like to have a library?
Like this, then yes.
Like this?
Yeah, definitely.
Where everything you picked yourself? Because you are a collector. I am a collector. Jay is a collector. Are you a collector?
Not a collector. You all seem weird to me.
I once said to Jay, do you have an end? Do you ever have an end? Nope. He loves finding the thing, knowing the story.
It's a place like no other in the world. So people come from all over the world to visit this room just because it's a unusual place to see in one room somebody trying, not succeeding, but trying to put imagination together in one room. So like that guy with the Spanish guy with the encyclopedia and the rocks from Mars and the star atlas, those are all different kinds of imagination in a plane crash with a check and all kinds of stuff. So all that ties together and sort of tells a little story about human imagination.
You get a book and a postcard
You get
from
a book
Jay.
and a postcard.
But if you're smart, you'd have him sign it.
Okay.
The difference between a signed postcard and an unsigned postcard is very valuably different. Davey, get Jay to sign the postcard. Because only when he signs it, is it him. He was there.
So do you want me to ask him to sign it?
I would if I were you.
Will you sign this?
Okay, I can.
Thanks.
We'll sign it right by this Ferrari booth here.
Okay.
There you go.
Thanks.
Says, Glad you came. Bring this postcard for one free admission. That means you could come again. Sometime you could come again. We got to be in Connecticut.
There you are. You got a signed one.
Yeah,
And
but there'll be
we
new
can come
stuff
again.
next
You
time.
can come again with your postcard. It's like a ticket to get you back. So you now have a ticket. So when somebody says, "Can you go?" you say, "Well, I have a ticket."